Welcome to Identity Unboxed, where we provide mentorship and promote representation for Black professionals in the advancement of the Black community.
We are seeking guidance from exceptional Black leaders, scholars, and professionals with expertise in their respective fields.
We hope to foster a space that promotes authenticity, inclusivity, and restoration for our listeners while exploring the intersection of our personal and professional lives.
This project is a culmination of our lived experiences as young Black professionals to transform our life trajectories, to overcome adversity, and reach triumph.
Our intention is to inspire you on your path to discovering your purpose.
Well, thank you so much, Dre, for joining us on this episode of Identity Unboxed, Pride in Hip Hop. We're so excited to have you here. You are a rapper, media personality, and makeup artist. I remember seeing you on Twitter when I was like 15, and you really caught my attention because I was like, oh, he has such an authentic style. He's true to himself and he can rap. He got bars. I was like, he's dope. And so it's like such a full circle moment to see you and to have you here today. So thank you so much for coming on and taking the time out of your day to join us.
Of course, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm ready to unbox and unwrap and let you guys in on my life and more that you want to know.
There we go. With that, we can get into our first question. So you were widely known for your makeup artistry and viral social media presence before transitioning to music. Can you share some insight about how you rose to prominence in the digital space and the inspiration for pivoting to pursue your rap career?
Yes. So me blowing up on social media, a lot of people think it takes like, post this time, post this, whatever. I was posting whatever came to my mind. I was saying whatever I felt. I was very unfiltered and raw. And I feel like me just being myself brought my community to me. And over time, my platform started to grow. And that's one of the biggest things that I like. When you're authentic, there's no image to maintain. So I never had to try to curate anything. I was just being myself, and my community followed and built up over time. And as I was building up my platform, I started getting brands following me, celebrities following me and reaching out. And I was kind of like, hold on now. If me just showing my personality was making all this pop out, maybe I should also do other parts of my personality. I don't need to just speak. I can also rap. I can also express through visual things. So I just started to branch off and do whatever felt right to me. It's kind of a thing about just being creative and just expressive. A lot of us have a lot of gifts, but we're scared to put them out. Like, what are people going to say? I ain't give a damn what they said. I wanted to put it out for myself and just to tell my younger self that I was doing it. And as I did it, I started building more community, got more supporters and more opportunities. So yeah, that's how that went.
I love hearing that. And it's so cool that even though you were in, a saturated space where a lot of people feel like they have to, go with the trends or post certain content, like you said, at certain times or, create a different version of themselves for social media, you decided to maintain the integrity of who you are. And I was going to ask, where did you get that? Do you think you learned that growing up from your family? Were there any influences on you that, encourage you to be your full and authentic self? Or have you always just kind of been that way?
So yes, this is actually exactly how it happened. So I had grew up, little trauma down, but let's bring it out.
Yeah,
So
it's okay. Take your time.
so when I had grew up, my family was not really that supportive of me being gay. I just had my grandma who was older, and she was always telling me when I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old, she was like, "You're different, like, but don't let nobody treat you different. Like, you're gonna be special. You're a star in your own right." Mind you, I'm 8 years old. I'm like, "Girl, what you talking about?" But she's like, "You're special. Don't let nobody take that from you." And when I would go around like the male family members, they would be super hyper masculine. They wouldn't like me like expressing myself. And I used to kind of like, show like what is it like, put myself inside of a shell. And then she ended up passing away. She ended up having a heart attack probably when I was like 9 or 10. So after that, I was like, that was like my one ride or die. When grandma dipped, I'm like, all right, I don't really care about how nobody else fell up in here. She was my A1. So after that, I just started doing what was true to me. And like whoever liked it, they just had to deal with it. And so that going into like my years of like junior high and high school, I just became so unfiltered and being myself. And it threw a lot of the kids off. Like they would kind of be like, my mom said, but boys are supposed to do. I'm like, I don't give a damn what your mama said. Your mama also told you stand up is real, baby. Move. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm finna do me. So I would be doing me. And I think like it would go where like people would try to hate on it, but then they saw that I was very unbreakable. And they would kind of just be like, all right, that's how he is. We're gonna let him be. And then people started to just gravitate towards it. And like, I just became stronger as time, built. It even got to a point when I was maybe like 16, 17. My mom had dated someone and he was really homophobic. and he was really, really homophobic, like violently homophobic. And I think he thought like him being like bigger than me and older than me and stronger than me was gonna make me like, as a kid back then. I'm like, you're not
Like
telling me nothing,
intimidate
son. You're
you.
not telling me
Yeah.
nothing, son. So like
Yeah.
we would get in like altercations, arguments, all types of stuff like that. And even my mom, it was a point in time where I had to distance myself from her as well, because it's like you're around somebody that is homophobic and I'm not feeling safe in this space. I don't even need to talk to you. So when I was like 16 through 18, that time frame, I didn't speak to my mom the entire 2 years because she was dating him. I didn't, because it's like a thing of where I've always just been kind of strong with like my knowing myself, my boundaries, everything. So while she was with him, I didn't talk to her. I would work, I would go to school, I would work at night, and I just wouldn't speak to her for like that entire time. It wasn't until she broke up with him that she came around and she was like, I apologize. Like I was like lost in that situation. And I was wrong. I was wrong and I should have like, been there for you. But like even with her not being there for me, I still was doing my own thing. I've just always been like a very strong individual, if that makes sense. Like just no matter what life throws at me, you're not breaking me, boo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am very much the diamonds that I got on my neck. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I am very much gonna stand through anything. So that's where that came from. So even with me being navigated on social media, I was literally like 16, 17 years old, just posting my thoughts like as a gay person. And I would get threats like, you're going to hell. When I see you, I'm gonna do this and this and that. And I was like, cute. Cute. Like I was like 16, 17, just like not caring. So it's like as I grow older, it's just like I'm not gonna care even more. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm just everything is bouncing off of me. So I've always just been very strong, and it's just become from I guess it's maybe trauma in life forcing you to be that way, but I never allowed myself to, you know what I'm saying? So wither. So yeah.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. First off, I just want to commend you for unpacking all of that. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
that's taken you a long time to be able to speak on publicly, but I think it's so amazing how you transform that pain into something positive and that you decided to go out into the world and share your experience to encourage others to embrace their true selves. And it's very remarkable just considering all that you had to confront your own family and also the world, and you
Mhm.
still didn't let that make you minimize yourself, and you have that resilience. I can just tell that with you in this short amount of time that we've been chatting with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think I always told myself, one, I got to turn the trauma into commas, and I don't want to ever
Yes.
make myself. I don't ever want to shrink myself to become digestible for someone else. So yeah, I'm always going to be myself, and I'm always going to be, whether it's loud and proud or if it intimidates other people, they just got to work on themselves because I'm me. And
Exactly. It seems like you've always known who you are, and that's what initially like drew me to you when I saw you on social media, and I was still like discovering myself and becoming comfortable in my skin. It was like an inspiration. I was like, oh, he's out here doing his thing. Like he don't care what nobody has to say about him. He's gonna do it. And that really resonates with me what you said about your grandma, because my grandma was kind of the one that was like, "It's okay, baby. I love you."
they be knowing, they be
Exactly.
knowing.
Exactly. And she was like, "You wear what you want to wear, like you be you." And when she passed, it was like a moment where I was like, "Well, look, now I got to live out loud for her." Like
Exactly.
what
You
would
got to
she
carry the
say?
torch.
Exactly. And I really appreciate you opening up about your family, because I know like it's so easy to be strong on the outside, and you just got to persevere and when you know yourself, but on the inside it can be very hard, like just to know
Yeah.
that your caregivers and everyone around you views you in a certain light and doesn't accept you for who you are. So I was wondering if you had any advice for LGBTQ plus youth who are struggling with that and are kind of scared to be themselves because of that rejection from their family.
Yes, I feel like if you are, so I will say if you're in a space where they're not violent, because I was in a space where they were violent. So it's like I was fighting, I was like 16 years old, getting in fights with somebody that was like 30. And I was whooping his ass, by the way. But it was still violent, and that's not normal, and that's very bad. So if you are in a situation where it's violent, if you feel like you need to kind of like, conceal certain things for your safety in your life, understandable. But if there's a situation where they're just gonna say like hurtful things and things like that, I feel like you only have one life to live. It is your life. Your parents got to choose their partners. They got to choose what they wore, what they did. They got to do all their lives for themselves. You choose your life for yourself and be yourself authentically, raw and true. You're going to feel a little bit of yourself dying inside every time that you pretend to be something that you're not. Whether it be your sexuality, your gender expression, all of that, be what makes you happy. You get what I'm saying? We're in a time where times are starting to change. There's a little bit of ignorance there. There's actually a lot of ignorance there, but The more visible that you are, the more of an impact that you make, and you open more doors for other people. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I've seen little, the young gays on TikTok posting their little femme queen fits. I've seen them, the little transitionings and like all of that makes my heart smile because it's like I want you to be visible. I want you to be happy, and it's the way that they look when they're so happy. It's a difference when someone is in the closet and they're just like, oh yeah, yeah, I talk to girls. They be so confused. They be so lost. Maybe that ain't you. But when they come out, they're like, so my man, da, da, da. And they're really true to them. The glow, the light up, the expression, or it's so different. You basically shine different when you're authentic to yourself. So I would say if you're young out there and you're not sure if you should take that risk and express yourself, I say do it. If you're in a position that allows you to be safe and comfortable, do it. And if you're gonna hear people talking and saying their remarks, let them keep hating. Over time, people get used to things. You get what I'm saying? When you first do it and you come out, oh, he gay, da 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 da. You've been gay for a year, boo. At that point, they're gonna have to get over it. Ain't nothing changing, boo. You've been gay for a minute now. They're a couple seasons late. You've been doing this for a minute. So if you allow it to be your normal, then they're just gonna have to adapt to what you put out there. Don't feel like you need to be a certain way to make other people happy. Do what makes you happy.
That is so valuable. Just like seeking joy in your life. Life is way too short to not feel like you could just be your full self. And
Hmm.
what, is the reason that we feel that we're valuing other people's perceptions of us over our own, right? And so I think it's great that you give that advice for folks who just really love themselves. You spoke about, boundary setting too. And I was hoping you'd be able to dive into that a little bit more about how you've been able to set those boundaries or understand what that looks like, because you mentioned you had to prioritize your physical safety but also
Hmm.
your psychological safety. And so could you speak a little bit more about where you learned some of those skills? Did you go to therapy? Did you read therapy books? Did you just have a community of people that helped encourage you to find healthy ways to navigate those difficult times?
Yeah, so for me with my boundaries, when I first set the boundaries with my parents, with my mom, I was 16 years old. I didn't have access to therapy and things like that. We were kind of growing up, we were like struggling a little bit, but I did pay attention to kind of like, how you watch your family do certain things and you're like, I want to be better than what they're doing. So I would of course like read certain books, read certain things and educate myself on that and certain things, but it was really just like a fight or flight thing when I did it back then. Now, as an adult, once I turned 19 or 20, I was going to therapy actively. I was speaking to therapists and they were teaching me about placing healthy boundaries, making sure that you pay attention to patterns and behaviors from certain people because there are people who say they're going to change and then they don't change. They're just kind of roping you in, manipulating you. So I learned about those different tactics as I got older. But in that initial situation when I was younger, I just did it out of fight or flight. But as I got older, I did get therapy to help me. So, and I think therapy has been very helpful to me going through all of the stuff that I need. So I would recommend that for anybody who is like struggling with any type of mental health or stress to get you a therapist. And there's also not all therapists are equal. Get you a therapist that actually like is for you and you can feel that they're helping you elevate and progress because there are some that are just there for a paycheck. So you got to make sure it's a real authentic one that wants to see you do better.
No, I feel you on that because I've been through plenty of therapists, and for some reason it was not hitting. I was like, this is not helping me. I don't know who these people are. They're just here for a check. But I got my first therapist, my first black therapist, who's a black woman. And I was like, okay, yeah, now I can really get into it. And I feel like she can relate to me. So the type of or like who you have as your therapist makes all the difference. So don't give up on
Yes.
therapy if you're just, encountering people who don't vibe with you.
Exactly. And I would say for me, I had to go through four therapists before I found the one therapist that was good for me. So it's definitely true. And it sucks having to go through that. But when you find that one that really meshes with you, it's like each week you are excited to talk to them about certain stuff, give updates and find guidance for certain things. It really helps your life a lot.
That's so great. And yeah, this platform, we support therapy. We talk about it all the time. Honestly, more than I anticipated with most of our guests. And so I think it's really great that you discuss how you kind of had to try on different types of therapy and with different therapists because you need to have a culturally competent therapist, especially dealing with experiences like ours.
Exactly.
Pivoting Yeah, and then pivoting a little bit. So male rappers in the LGBTQ plus community are not often visible, which you kind of spoke about. In the hip hop space that centers heteronormativity and traditional presentations of masculinity. Can you tell us about your experience as a rapper in the industry and any roadblocks you have confronted? And then can you also share any advice for LGBTQ plus rappers who are trying to make it in the music industry but feel that their identity poses a stumbling block?
Yes. So I would say being a gay rapper has had it's a lot of roadblocks in the way for sure for everything that I've been going through. I've met with numerous labels. I want to say 4 to 5. And it's always something. It's always something with these labels. It's because you're something that's different that people haven't really seen, like, kind of break through before. So they don't really know how to curate certain things and handle those things. So I've gotten label opportunities where they will be like, we'll give you a lot of money, but we want to control your image, and they want to control what you say. They want to control like your interviews and what you can do. And I'm just like, baby, I'm unfiltered. You're not going to be, I understand media training, which is fine. I would never say anything like super ignorant or problematic, but they want to like control like your whole thing where it's like, don't talk about relationships. Don't say these things. Don't say, like, they want to control you to make you like, yeah, he's gay, but he doesn't talk about being gay. Does that make sense?
But you're marketable, like you're
yeah, exactly. They want you to
type
be
of gay
marketable. So it's
rapper.
kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah. So it's like, I don't like that. Or they'll say you can do whatever you want, but then they want to give you like crumbs because they don't know how it's gonna be because they've never marketed somebody who's openly gay, you know? So it's kind of like a weird little area. And then I've also had it the things where like female artists, like the top female artists will follow me and like look out and like show me love. And then they'd be like, can you write songs for me? And I'm like, girl, like, how about you get on my song? They're like, well, no, I want your song. I'm like, they're kind of like, well, this is a little too kind. I kind of want that. And it's like, so that is definitely something that happens a lot. And yeah, it's just it is very hard to navigate it because it's like people can say you can't do it, but it's because they haven't seen somebody like you do it before. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of like that. And so for me, I don't mind if it takes a little bit longer because when it does happen, the girl's going to be gagged. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about that at all. It's just, I can say for anybody out there that is trying to become a gay rapper and they're nervous about like them being gay, that is going to be what helps you find your audience. You don't want to be rapping like, about like straight stuff and then you get the straight audience and then they find out you're gay and they turn on you and now you drop. You selling like you're going double wood now. You know what I'm saying? You have no core audience. So you want to make sure that you have your core people. And if you want to implement different types of bops, along the way with different styles, you can. But be true to yourself because nobody wants to be like, having an image that's hard to maintain. That's what I would say on that subject. Just be yourself, be authentic, push your craft, and you already know you being gay, you got to be twice as good as them. So the bars better be hitting, the looks better be hitting. I don't want to see no mess. You need to make sure you got budget, bars, and looks, and then you should be good.
Budget, bars, and looks. Hear that,
Period.
everyone?
Yes, they know.
Recipe. But I think too, you're really like speaking to a point about advocating for yourself as well, especially when you are in those situations and understanding that, if you really want to fortify your identity in the space and create your audience and find who those people are, that you really have to be who you are, right? They're going to figure that out eventually down the line if you are kind of like fabricating an image of yourself or there's like a facade that you're trying to maintain. And so it's probably just easier to go into these situations being like, well, this is who I am. If you don't like it, I'm going to have to go somewhere else, and knowing your worth too.
That's very big because I did have a label. I had a label reach out to me and they offered me, what is it, 400K? And they wanted me to sign with them. And they were like, they had a whole plan in mind. They were like, we're going to rebrand you as this. We're going to have you dating this girl. And I'm like, what they were basically telling me, they were like, you are like a mix between, like in between Little Nas and Saucy Santana. How Saucy's very femme and Nas is like, at the time, Nas was really masculine. They're like, you're in the middle ground. So we can push like a metrosexual thing where like you may have like a look a little bit, where you might serve a little bit, but you're not gay. I'm like, but I am gay. They're like, but no, we don't want you to be gay. I'm like, but I want to be gay.
Sorry, that is actually wild.
Yeah, they were literally saying, like, we're gonna black out your social medias, delete everything. They had a whole game plan. They had a whole game plan and everything. Like they were like, we're gonna get you with this rap artist. I'm like, but I'm just, and the reason that it didn't go nowhere also is because one, they were trying to control everything that I was doing, which was not authentic to me. They wanted me to abandon my whole identity, my whole aesthetic and everything, kind of make me kind of like a trap kind of person. And it's like, also I asked them, I'm like, who would this help and inspire? I was like, who would this help and inspire? That's my main question with them. And they were like, well, I'm like, why? Like, what's this gonna inspire? Like, because if I'm not being true to myself and I'm just following these other male rappers that you guys already kind of have like clones of, who am I inspiring? You know what I'm saying? And then like when they couldn't answer that, I was just like, yeah, I'm cool, boom. I can't do nothing with that being like a watered down version to fit in with the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not finna do that. And it, like the song ideas they had, girl, no. Girl, no, girl. They wanted me to do that. Oh, I'm gonna fuck on your bitch. Oh, I get money, I'm rich. Like stupid shit. Like, I'm like, girl, if you don't get the fuck, I don't. And I just feel like, I don't know, the messages that I get just being myself have really made me like, there'll be people like, you inspired me to do this. You inspired me to do that. You've been like, you've helped me like feel comfortable with myself. Like, and it's so many people that message me that kind of stuff. And I feel like if I was just not being authentic, I don't feel like I would get that. You know, like they would just be like, yeah, bro, I love your music, bro. It wouldn't be on no emotional aspect, you know what I'm saying? But like, I get deep messages like from people like across the country. You know, I get them from like some people would be like, I'm in Africa or I'm in China or I'm in here, and I'm like, damn, like you know me here, and they're like, worldwide. Yeah, I'm worldwide. I'm good uncle, you know. So, and I'll be like, you just inspired me to try this or try that, and it just makes me feel very good. Like, you know, it just makes me feel good because it's like my younger self would be very proud of the people that I'm inspiring today. You know.
Absolutely. And I feel like the impact you have, like you said, reaches so many people. And it's unfortunate that people who are authentic, like you said, it takes them a little longer and they may not get, the numbers, the stats, all the recognition, all the publicity, but still, like, people know who you are. It's like, if you know, you know. And it's like,
true.
And that's the thing is your impact reaches farther, even though these labels won't give you the chance to show up as your authentic self. And it's really sad because I feel like you were like one of the first, if not the first gay rappers that I saw. And it's like, you've kicked down so many doors for people who want to follow after you. And the more people that show up and are authentic like you, the more people will prosper. And so people just got to keep showing up in the way that you do. And eventually we'll break that glass ceiling. Because we don't want people going double wood, like you said. People will do what they wanted you to do, take the money, and then once they take that mask off and they're like, this is who I really am, they done built up a whole audience of people who don't really rock with them for who they are, like you said.
Exactly. RA triple paper plate. That's what's happening to the girls. They are not, it's going bad because they're not, it's because they're not taking the time to be authentic. So it's like when you create that facade and you can't keep it up, crumbles down. So I appreciate everybody who's just being authentic to themselves. And I do agree with what you said. Like, I've literally went to, like, when I was going out in LA, I would go to different events and like the randomest, like, people would come up to me, just be like, oh my God, I love you, da da da. And I'm like, oh shit, that's so-and-so. Oh shit, that's so, you know what I mean? So it was a very like full circle moment just first going out in LA and so many people just saying how much I've inspired them and like, you know, so it's pretty cool. So I definitely agree with everything that you're saying.
I love that. And I love that, you've been inspiring people, just being yourself, like you said. And I also think, it's important for people to realize that you still have value, even if there's not monetary gain attached to it, even momentarily. Like you said, you turned down that money because you didn't want them to control who you are. You wanted to maintain autonomy over your image and your art. I think it's hard for creatives, especially, to be able to do that because it's really rare to be able to make like a long-term career off of this. And so I think it's helpful for people to hear that you've done that and you've still been successful. And even though it will take a little bit longer, you know that you're going to be content with who you are when you get to that level that you want to be at.
That is very true. And I think one thing to note also is like, just because I didn't take like a label deal or anything like that, does not mean that I'm not good on money. I am very, very,
and I love it for you.
Yeah. One thing that I learned too is like, when I would go out in LA, there were other artists that I would be around that would sign. And like, that's also one thing too, this label stuff is not what people like think it is. Like, these artists will be like, you'll see like an artist's net worth on like Google. That is not what they have in their bank account. That is not what's even given to them. It's so crazy. Like learning. I think that's also why I didn't sign so many deals, because learning the behind the scenes of certain stuff. Sometimes people will be like, you'll see them everywhere, and then their label contract will be they signed for like 100K, and then like they got no percentages on performances, no percentages on. It's all types of stuff. They owe the label back. They gotta pay. Hell no, I'm not doing all that. If you ever see an artist and like they start off with a song that's like pushed so high up, and then like everything after that never comes, like it never reaches that amount of success. Most of the time, their label found that one song that went up. They put all that budget there, but it didn't recoup, and they start lowering the artist's budget for everything else. So you'll start seeing them say like, oh, I'm dropping my project. And then the project will go from an album to a mixtape. Or it'll be like, you'll see them dropping high budget videos, and then you kind of see green screens and like they're trying, you'll start to see. Yeah, because the recoup part is where the labels start getting a little crazy. And it's like, there's some artists where like they're good artists, but like their songs don't sell as much, or they don't, they don't retain that. And then the label starts like, you can't release, and they start doing big gaps. You'd be wondering like, where this artist at? They fell off. They're being shelved right now because they haven't recouped their last release. So it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know. But I think me learning that, that's why I'm not quick to sign nothing. Like I am very educated. I went to school, and before even doing music, I was working in the medical field. So it's like I know a bag. You get what I'm saying? And then after that, I put my money into like stocks, trading, crypto, doubling assets. We got liquid. I'm not finna, a lot of labels prey on people who don't have nothing. So it'll be like, oh, this person's in the hood, they want to find a way out. We'll give them $50K and sign them for 5 years. And they don't know, like, they be doing that shit to a lot of people. And it's like, you can't do that to me, baby. We're good. We're paid. We're put up. You know what I'm saying? So you got to come correct, and you got to have something that makes sense to me, So.
This is so helpful for people listening in, because I think like financial literacy, first off, that's so critical to be successful, like long term. And, like you said, many people will just take that quick check at the beginning, like, oh, here's the 50K, but not realizing, oh, I'm going to be paying this back for the next like 20 years of my career and probably losing money. And so it's good that, you discuss that aspect of it, and that people should really do their homework, look into investing, go get an education if you have the opportunity to do that. And I didn't even know that you had gone to school. So could you talk a little bit about that career pivot? Because you said you kind of worked in the medical field, and then now you're creative. And so what did that look like? Were you ever kind of like, I kind of want to stay here because this is secure? Or did you just know full on, like, I'm going to keep doing my creative endeavors the whole time?
Yeah, so I went to school. I wanted to work in the medical field because of like the money, and I went, like, I'm gonna be honest, I want to go there for the money, for the coin. But as I got into it, I realized I'm actually a very good person. And when I was working at the hospital, I would see like a lot of stuff that I did not like. Like I kid you not, I still get angry thinking about some of the stuff that would happen there, because there's definitely racism in hospitals. There are definitely things where they don't really like look out for other people who are LGBTQ. There's a lot of dismissive things that happen in hospitals that like infuriate me. So it would be times where I would be like working, I kid you not, I would be working, and like a patient would be left unattended, and like it's a Black patient, or a patient would be left like, unattended, or they're not shown love, and they're a patient who needs like a translator. Like it's kind of like there's a certain way that I would see the mistreatment in the hospitals, and it would piss me off. So it would be times where I would come into the job, and I'm supposed to be working on a section over here, but I noticed that the people in the section over there are not being cared of. And me being a human being and seeing that, I'm like, okay, let me go help them. So I'm picking up their slack on this side, and I'm doing this. And like, it would get to a point where I was getting like trophies at work for having like the best patient services and like all types of stuff, because the patients were calling like, he is going above and beyond for us. But it wasn't my job to do that. Does that make sense? Like, it was not my job.
That
Like,
should be the standard.
yeah, like, and it's like I would be picking up after other people, and I was so young too. And it's like I'm picking up after other people, and it's these people who have been here for like 10, 20 years, don't care about these patients, they don't, and it would just kind of drain me. And I would just see so much stuff like that. I just like, if you knew the behind the scenes stuff that be happening at these hospitals, it's just kind of like crazy. So for me, it was kind of draining for me already. So seeing that, and then also like I would get attached to patients. I'm such an emotional person. I would get attached to patients, and then like somebody would be like, oh, so and so got sick and they passed away, and I'm like, like I'm over here shitting, crying, and throwing up, because I'm attached to everybody that's coming. You know what I'm saying? So it was,
No, like,
yeah, that was my girl. Not my fan. So I would be so like I would be so in depth with it. And I felt like me as a person, I had to take a step back, because I'm a very caring person. But it got to a point where I'm doing so many different people's jobs, and like so many different people's things. And like the management was seeing it. They're like, oh, you're helping them with that side. Well, can you help them tomorrow? And like they were starting to take advantage. And you know what I mean? It was just a little bit too much. So me going into being a creative space, I feel like being in the creative space, I made more money than I did working in the medical field, because of like different opportunities and things like that. And people think just because you're not like dropping a song at a certain time, you don't have money coming in. Babe, like I get paid through Twitter, TikTok, like you get everything. Do you get what I'm saying? Like my songs have been put in like shows and soundtracks for different stuff. So it's like the money, she's still coming. You guys, she's still coming. So it's like I've made really good money. I feel like more so on the social aspect compared to the medical side. Even though what's consistent, it's been better on the social aspect. And I feel like better just kind of being able to not stress and, think about that kind of stuff. Because I feel like the medical aspect can make you feel a little sad. Like it makes you realize like, I don't know, it took the fun out of stuff for me. I'm coming in like working in different parts of the hospital, seeing like the digestive health area with like the stomach area, You eating certain stuff, it can cause cancer. Shit, now I don't want to eat. You know what I'm saying? Now you not, you know what I'm saying? Then you see like the skincare department, and you're like,
Yeah.
damn, this caused cancer on the skin. Shit, do I got that? It's like, yeah, man. It would just be
You were
like,
just stressed.
yeah, now I'm stressed. So it's like, no. So it would just be too much for me. Me being a creative, all I just have to worry about is posting, doing my stuff, and that's it, you know?
Love that. And that's very true that in like areas of your career where it's very service oriented, when you're empathetic, it can be very hard and draining. And people will see that you're empathetic and take advantage of you. Like you say, like, is that really my job to be doing X, Y, and Z? But it's because you care that you ended up picking up all that stuff and picking up the slack that other people would not do. And so I feel like that's very common. And it's clear that you wanted to help people, but I love that you're still able to help people. A lot of people think helping people has to be a certain way or be in a box, but just by you being yourself and being authentic, you're helping so many more people and you're reaching so many more people just by showing up as you are. And so you just being you and putting out, your creativity and your music, that's helping people in itself. And it's clearly paying off because in June of 2018, you released your song No Pressure that features Megan Thee Stallion. I love that song so much, by the way. And we
Thank you.
yeah, we were wondering if you could tell us more about how that collaboration came to life.
Yes. So Megan, me and Megan had followed each other on Twitter at the time back then. We still follow each other, still locked in. That's my girl today. At the time, I love her down.
We
We
love
have basically
her.
been yes, we have been following each other on Twitter. And she would always like my stuff and I would like her stuff. And it's always like that. You know, people you guys are mutuals, but y'all don't ever push that, that little moment. That moment. So like she had dropped some freestyle, I think it was the Stally freestyle. I was like, oh, I love this song. This is so cool. I like that, Megan. So I love
Yep.
the freestyle that she did, and it was so good. And I was working on some music, and what had happened was I had dropped Elegant, and Elegant got so much love from everybody. They really loved the song. Kehlani had brought me out to perform at Pride. After I got out of Pride, I performed in. There was so many people that I was singing my songs. It was amazing. So how that came about, me and Megan have been following each other on Twitter and showing each other a lot of love. And we never have basically like pushed to like we had talked about like she had told me like we should work on something. I told her we should work on something, but we never had nothing in mind yet. I had performed at Pride with Kehlani after dropping Elegant. And afterwards, I was like, wow, I like the feeling of being on stage and I like the vibe. And like, I feel like I like the vibe of working with like female artists and like that energy and like that vibe. I was like, let me see if I could put Megan on something. So I wrote No Pressure and I sent it to Megan and she was like, oh, I love this. I love this. And then not even 2 weeks after, she had sent her verse back and she was like, I love it. When you gonna drop it, friend? Let me know so I can post. She was so real, raw, and authentic. And that's kind of one thing like that. I feel like one, it has not changed about her, but it also made me really love her so much because she was so easy to work with. She was so fun and she's just so expressive and so cool. And she has not changed since that. Like since we worked on No Pressure, Megan is still the same person. If I reach out to Megan, she's showing love. If I ever go to an event, she could be like, and she go flag me down, bring me to her area, show me love, and just she's never changed. She's a real, raw, authentic, and true friend. And that's why when people talk shit about her, I'll be ready to knock a bitch out because I don't
I
play
love
about
that.
Megan. But
Yeah,
I love
she
me
got her
some Megan.
supporters.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's a real one.
That is so cool. And I love her Instagram workout videos. I'm always like watching those.
Yeah,
Like these are actually comedy bits.
she is hilarious.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you now that you've had the chance to like meet some of these bigger stars and stuff throughout your career, do you have like an ideal collaboration that you're hoping for that's on your wish list? Or are there any particular experiences in your career that you feel that are memorable or have impacted you along the way?
So things that okay, so collaboration. I'll start with that part. Collaborations that I want to do. I definitely want to work with Doja Cat. I love Doja Cat so much.
Yes.
I think
We
we
love
would have so much fun on a track. I could imagine the flows, the visuals. I could imagine the whole thing. I think it would be so animated and just so fun to work with her. I really love her artistry. She's really talented. And she's so beautiful. And I just love her. She's so expressive and she's not afraid to be different, to be out, like just outgoing and just expressive. And even if people may say it's weird, she will do whatever it takes to commit to the art and getting the vision out. So I really love me some Doja Cat. I also want to work with JT. We follow each other on Twitter, and I love me some JT. She showed me love. I show her hella love as well. And she's just such a pretty, just a black Barbie. And I just love the way she raps. She just gives like rich, just sexy, just just kind. It's just kind. I love me some JT.
I
I
love
think it would
JT
eat.
so much.
I think it would eat so much. I love JT down. So those would be my two main collabs that I'm thinking of right now. And I think people that I have met that have really impacted me a lot. I would say probably one of the biggest was when I first met Lil Nas. Um, we had been following each other on social media, and he had asked me to come for his fashion show that he had. It was a fashion show for like, it was raising for like a trans fund for trans people. And when I went to the fashion show, he was just telling me, like, he was like, "You're so cool, like I fuck with you." And he like told me like how me being myself had like gave him like inspiration and pushing him to like drop his music. And I never knew, because I look back on my Elegant video when I first dropped it. He was in the comments, and he was like this before he even dropped a song. And he was just like, he was like, "Yes, eat." And I'm like, oh shit. So it made me feel good that like me just being myself, like actually like, it helped push someone else to kind of be themselves as well. You know what I'm saying? And then ever since then, when I met Nas, we've met numerous times. He's always been an amazing person. He's a sweetheart. He is so down to earth. He's super funny. And like that was a genuine connection that formed just from that meeting. You get what I'm saying? Like it's different to kind of meet people here and there and just go. But we actually formed like a genuine connection. I really fuck with him. Like I actually love me some Lil Nas down. And I'm not sure what he's working on right now specifically, but I feel like a collab with us would be super great. And I'm just excited to see whatever he does. Like I just love to see the queer girls eat. I'm sorry. I just love to see it. So I think that was very like nice for me. Megan Thee Stallion too. That was very nice. I didn't expect her to be so nice in person. When I first met her, I went to, because we had the song together, but we hadn't met. It's our Halloween party. Ooh, this is a little embarrassing. It's not embarrassing, but it's funny. So like I got invited to our Halloween party. I was on the list. But when I went to the party, the person at the front was only checking the regular list, not the VIP list. So I'm at the door. I'm like, "I'm here, Drebae." He was like, "You're not on the list." I was like, "Oh my God, I was like, where do you live?" He was like, "You're not on this." I was like, "There's no way." I was like, "There's no way." And like everybody looking at me like, "What? Like you look so good. Like there's no way." I'm like, "This is yeah." So they ended up like calling Megan. They were like, "Oh," and then he had apologized. I guess it was a separate VIP list that had like, like the regular people, I think they'll get out one person, they come in by themselves. The VIP, you can have like a +5 and all that stuff. So he was like, "Oh, you on a VIP list, my fault." And then they brought me in. When they brought me in, I was like, escorted to the little area where Megan was at. And Megan is like, I love her down, because it's like, when you're about to meet somebody, you're so nervous. I'm like, "Oh, this is our first time. Like, hopefully I can get close to her, because there's so many people there." She saw me, Megan's tall model legs. She saw me through the crowd. She was like, and she like made the security clear the whole little way of people that were there. Like, so they made a walkway, and I'm like, "Okay, let me pussy count walk down this aisle, Megan." So I walk up there. She gave me a big hug. She was like, "I'm so happy to see you." She was like, "Shout out to Drebae." She gave me a shout out. They was playing music. Like, she is real. Like when people be talking about Megan, I feel like they have a social relationship where they don't even know her. She is really a real person. Like she's really solid. She's loyal. She does not change. She's a sweetheart, and she's a really down to earth girl. Like she deserves everything good that comes to her. Like every interaction I've had with her has been amazing. Like she feels like just a raw, true, solid friend that don't change up on nobody. You get what I'm saying? So I love Megan down. So those
I
are my
love
favorite
that.
too.
That's so cool. And also, I really hope those collaborations do happen for you. I feel like they will in the future. I love that song by JT No Bars. So good.
Yes.
That's one of
Yes.
my favorites.
Yes. We love no
Um,
bars.
yes. And I want to see you with Dochi. So I want to put that out into the
Oh,
universe
yeah.
now.
Don't
Because you
you?
and Dochi, she's
Oh, I
bringing
can
back old
see that.
soul rap. She kind of is like giving us the Missy Elliott era. And so you and Dochi would be amazing, I feel
That
like.
would eat. That actually, I love
Yeah.
me some Doechii. I first heard her song "Girls" when she first dropped it on
Okay.
like YouTube a few years ago. I love that
Yeah.
song. And then Nissan Altima is one of my favorites. And then What It Is
Yep.
too. She's super talented and versatile. Beautiful chocolate queen. She eats down, and I love how expressive she is with like her
Yep.
visuals and like the fact that she'll do like little rock elements, little like like alternative.
Yep.
Everything is super fun. I would definitely do a collab with Doechii. I love her down.
Yes.
Yeah. Doechii is so versatile. I love her. I've been getting into her album recently, and she's just phenomenal. I hope she continues to excel. And like you said, I love JT. I want to hear you on a remix of the song "Oh" featuring DJ Khaled, because you mentioned how important your grandma is to you,
Yes.
and the song starts out like, "Hey Queen, it's your fairy gang mother." I was like, yeah, let's get Dre on that. Let's get Dre on that.
Not you, Ghost Rider. Let me tag you in the credits.
Raj, you might get the feature.
I know,
There might be a collab here. Wait.
Yeah.
JT, let me write a little
Yeah.
something. I could try to push
I
a
know
little
what
pen.
to.
Try to push a little pen or something. Yeah, but I mean, switching gears a little bit, that was very lighthearted, but we want to get into something that's a little personal for you. In 2022, you were the victim of a tragic act of gun violence where a person who posed as an LGBTQ plus photographer met you at the agreed upon location and then unleashed gunfire in an attempt to rob you. If you're comfortable, can you speak on this experience and the impact it had on your life and tell our listeners about your road to recovery, both mentally and physically?
Yeah, so that situation was actually very, very traumatic for me. So basically, as you did say, yeah, somebody had pretended to be a photographer for LGBTQ people, and when I went to the shoot, they ended up shooting me and trying to take my jewelry. It was a very traumatic experience because leading up to the situation, the person had like kind of talked to me. Like we had spoke multiple times over the phone. And they would just say, like, like I'm really trying to make it in the industry. Like it's hard for me, like being a photographer of this, like, being LGBTQ, it's hard navigating. And I was really like feeling like I was going to help someone. You know what I'm saying? Like networking with them, and I'm telling them like, oh yeah, afterwards I can bring you to some events. And I'm really thinking in my head that I'm going to be helping someone that's like me. So like for this to happen when I went to the actual shoot, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm here, and I'm like, okay, I don't see you. And they're like, I'm in a red Civic. And I'm looking around, I don't even see no red Civic. So like I'm going on my phone to kind of check how I look in my camera, like to see how I look because I have my fit on. And then as I'm looking at myself, my body jerks. And I look down and like I'm bleeding and like my guts are like hanging out. And like I'm like so confused. And I'm just like, I look around and it's like some random guy, like some random like guy like in like a hoodie. And I'm like, did you just shoot me? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, you finna kill who? Like after he said that, like I went through two different moments. I had like my inner child was crying because it's like we just came to help somebody and like now we're potentially dying. So like there was a part of me that was very sad. And then the other part of me was like, baby, I'm not gonna die here. Like I'm too cute to be dying on somebody's sidewalk for some random ass shit. Like this is ghetto. This is not happening. So my fight or flight kicked in. I immediately ran up to him. I started fighting him and I threw him on the ground. He has the gun and he still get his ass whooped. So I started whooping his ass and like I slammed his head in the concrete. When I slammed his head in the concrete, he became unconscious. And like when he was unconscious, my body realized that the threat was gone. So after that, like the adrenaline wore off. So like I felt everything like it was so intense. I got up off of him after he was knocked off and I started like crossing the street and I called my mom. I was like, somebody just shot me. I was like, I'm gonna send you my location. And she was like, I'm gonna call the police. And after me calling, like thinking about like crossing the street, the time frame of them crossing the street, like me crossing the street, I had called my mom and I had called the police and I had laid down. I did all that in crossing the street. You know what I'm saying? Like that fast. And then I lay on the sidewalk and I'm just bleeding like so much, like it's so uncontrollably, like it's scary. And like I'm just like thinking to myself, like I'm gonna die here. Like this is like it was so sad. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't feel real. Like I'm coming to do a shoot to work and someone attacks me, like just to take, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it didn't make sense. And then these two people came out of their house. It was like an older couple, and they were like, we saw everything on our Ring camera. We called the police. He's gonna go to jail. So and like the guy was an older man, and I kid you not, he was maybe like 70 years old. Like he's really older. And he was like, you remind me of one of the friends that I had in the 80s. He was gay. And he's like, look at you, like you got this nice outfit on. You need to be walking around with security. Tell me about yourself. And like I was bleeding like uncontrollably. But when he said, tell you about yourself, I'm like, oh, I'm trying, man. I do music, and like I was like him making me have that moment. It made me not focus on the bleeding and the pain, and I was able to like help me relax until the paramedics and stuff came. So the police ended up coming. Paramedics came. They put me in, and I had to go to the hospital. I had to have two surgeries. I had to have my liver cut, and I think my gallbladder removed. So your liver grows back. That's the only organ in your body that grows back. So thank God my liver grew back so she can get drunk. But my gallbladder is gone. Your gallbladder is an organ that like breaks down like fats in your body and stuff like that. So like now my body, I still have my liver working, but like my body doesn't break down a bunch of fats too well. You get what I'm saying? So that's mainly it. And then I had to have surgery where like not surgery, but like recovery for a good 5 months. I had to have like a wrap on me to kind of help me sit upright and like, like, it was giving corset, but I had to wear something to kind of hold myself up. And Yeah, it was very traumatizing. And I think for me, like healing from that, it's still something that I'm dealing with today. Because it's kind of like I have a thing where it's like fear of impending danger and I don't really trust people like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that I'm still working with every day. But yeah, that was the situation. And the person is they were in jail. So, they are in jail. They did catch the person. I did get some type of, justice for that, but the trauma still lingers with the entire situation.
I am so sorry that that happened to you. I can't imagine how traumatic that would be. And I mean, like, that's such a blessing that that couple found you also and were able to assist you in getting someone to help take care of you and the paramedics to come. But I was hoping to hear a little bit more about kind of what the recovery was like for you after that, because I know you mentioned like you've had trouble trusting people. And like, I can't even imagine what that would feel like thinking you were trying to like be generous and help this person out and get their career started after all that you've been through. And then to like have, someone actually commit a hate crime on you, like it's deplorable. And so
Yeah.
what was that healing process for you mentally? Like, has that made you guarded towards helping people or like even just building connections with others?
It was really hard for me navigating after getting shot because one, it's like I had to first have to deal with the changes of my body because I had to have surgery. So I did have to deal with like the surgical changes and like the physical appearances of my body so that I have like different areas of like body dysmorphia and just like overthinking about like how I look. And then also the mental aspect of it, like I went to work. It wasn't like I was at a party, I was at a club or I have beef with somebody. I don't argue, I don't beef with nobody. I've never been to jail. I've never gotten no tickets. I ain't even gotten nothing, no legal problems. So to go from someone shooting me, like as something like when you're going to do a shooting work, you get what I'm saying? It just didn't, it messed me up mentally and it made me feel like if I'm just gonna be creating and I'm be an artist, am I gonna be in danger all the time? Like what if I perform on stage? What if I do this? What it put like a constant fear of like something bad can happen. You get what I'm saying? When I never had that feeling at all. So it really did mess with me a lot. And I think I spent a lot of time like kind of in therapy for PTSD and kind of just learning how to kind of like learn how to trust people again and like just like like learn that anything can happen when you're going out and not to assume that that will be something that happens all the time. But it was something that was very hard for me. It was very, very hard. But I think the friends that I had who were really, really helpful to those, those processes. I would say the one of the biggest helps for me getting shot was Mona Leo. After I had got shot, Mona Leo she had reached out to my mom. She had reached out to everybody who's wrong because I wasn't on social media. And she was like, has anybody talked to Dre? What's going on? She had reached out to my mom and other people and got information on me. She had sent flowers to my hospital bed. And even like after I was done healing, she would invite me places, but she would go the extra mile to make sure that I was comfortable. Like she would just be like, just so you're aware, there's not gonna be anybody with guns, there's not gonna be anybody with here, you're gonna be safe, we're gonna be checking people here. She would go the extra mile as a person to make sure that I was safe and comfortable. Like it actually makes me want to cry how beautiful her spirit is because she would go that extra mile. Like she even invited me out to perform at one of her shows. And she was like, before he comes out, I don't want no weird energy. Like I don't want nobody doing anything bad because this is his first time performing since he got shot. Y'all make sure that y'all show him love. And like just to kind of like care about a person, like I don't know, she cared about me on a level that I felt like was just very kind, like that's that southern love. And just she just speaks much about her character. She really made sure that I was comfortable. They checking people for any type of medal before they come in, you get what I'm saying? Like they're going above and beyond to make sure that people are okay. And I just really appreciate Mona Leo a lot. And I think she was very monumental to me healing from my trauma of me getting shot. Also Nas. Nas had invited me to his party. And I'm like, I don't want to go to no parties at no nighttime, But he's like, it's gonna be a guest list only, metal detectors at the doors, double security. There's the first layer of security here. They're checking for their stuff. And then the second layer. You think you may have made it past the first, but you gotta go through the second layer. And there's a second metal detector. People are also putting their phones in there. Like it's like he went the extra mile to make sure I was protected as well. So it's like the friends that I had at the time were making sure that I was like really like protected during my recovery. And like I think that helped me a lot. Like so it helped me a lot, the people around you. I think if I didn't have those people, I probably would be like a sheltered crab or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Cause it was very hard for me. Like it was very hard, but they definitely helped me a lot.
I'm so glad to hear that you had them. And it sounds like they were really sensitive to your situation too. And they wanted to help you, get back to your true self again. And so that's so great that they were like patient with that and we're just there for you.
Yes, yes. I think Mona Leo helped me a ton. Like every time that I would be around her, I would just feel safe. I think Mona Leo helped me a lot during my recovery of me getting shot because she's from Houston, and there's a lot of gun violence out there. A lot of people have lost their lives to that kind of stuff. And she just gave me so much advice. She gave me so much like comfort, so much support. And I feel like she just made me feel beautiful, like beautiful and like supported every time I was around her. Like she's just a real authentic person. I love her down.
Yeah, that's just unimaginable. And like you said, you don't, it's hard to envision that happening to you because, like you said, you're not in beef, you're not in no gangs, you don't do none of that. And so, like,
Mm-mm.
when I can only imagine that happening and it being like, what? That's crazy. And probably still struggling with that hypervigilance because I know I'm already paranoid. So I know if something like that happened to me, I would be like, on edge. So it's amazing to see that you recovered from that and you're still able to go out and be social and do your thing. Especially like you said, because you thought you were helping somebody, you were working, you thought it was an up and coming photographer. And for that to happen when you think you're helping out your own community and people taking advantage of your identity to harm you, that's just like unspeakable. I'm glad that he's in jail. And I hope he's
Yeah,
there for a very
it
long
was
time.
evil. Yeah, it was evil. It was very vile, and it really it really did some type of damage to my mental because of that. Like, I feel like also with like how you said with me being on social media, being visible for that time, I've always prided on speaking about LGBTQ issues, helping the community. And so for someone to kind of weaponize that and use that to kind of lure me in, I feel like that did kind of like make me pull back a little bit about sharing my experiences and being less like vocal on social media about like different parts of my life. I still have to get back in the habit of doing that, but that definitely did like pull me back. You know what I'm saying? A lot because that traumatized me.
But yeah, I mean, again, I can't even imagine like that's so vitriolic too. Like the fact that they used, what you had said, your, identity and just how you were so like caring and compassionate for the community and weaponize that is despicable. Yeah, but moving forward, kind of on a similar topic, just about mental health. I do want to preface for our listeners that this could be a triggering topic. So if you do need to pause, that's okay, and skip a few minutes on. Please feel free. But on your latest album, Work of Art, you released a song titled Lonely. In the song, you get vulnerable as it relates to personal challenges with mental health. In a specific part of the song, you write suicidal thoughts at night, wondering, do they care about you? Depression got you convinced the world is better off without you. For those battling mental health struggles, can you share any wisdom from your personal experience? And I know you kind of went into
Yes.
that earlier, but feel free to elaborate more.
Yes, I could definitely give people advice on that. So I feel like people who are going through a lot mentally, it may seem like it's a lot in the specific moment. And I think you have to realize that it may just be that specific moment. A lot of the times, people will make permanent decisions over temporary issues. So they'll be like, I'm going through a lot right now. I don't want to do it. And then they'll make that decision. And, sometimes they're just having a bad day. Sometimes they're just having a bad week. Sometimes they're having a bad year. And then the next year can be so bright. It can be so fruitful. It can be so beautiful. And it's like there's been so many times where my life has been peaks and valleys. You know what I'm saying? It can be happy, sad, good, bad. You have to kind of live life and have those peaks and valleys because it's not always going to be good. You know what I'm saying? The people that you see on TV, social media, where it looks like they're winning all the time, behind closed doors, they are going up, going down, going up, going down. Everybody's life has those moments, and it's normal. You're going whether it's financial, relationship, family. Everybody goes through these different problems. One, you're not alone, and two, like your feelings are valid, but don't let them control these decisions that can, cause you to end your life too early. You are stronger than what you're going through, and you can make it through what's happening. You get what I'm saying? Like I've went through so much, and I've thought like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And every time I got through that motherfucker, you get what I'm saying? So it's like you can get through it, and you can succeed, and you can achieve, and you can it's gonna get better. Like it's been so many times, like just to be really open before I started doing school and like before I started working in the medical field, I was working at retail jobs. And I was working at these jobs and I'm just like, oh shit, like I'm getting paid this much, but I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that. There was times where I was dead struggling, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just like this, like I'm not even living, I'm surviving. You know what I'm saying? And I'm surviving. I'm working to pay this, but I'm working, and it felt like it was like an endless loop. And if I would have ended my life back then and there, I would have not been where I am today. So it's like as hard as it was back there, that was an era. Like that was a chapter in your book. That was a chapter that may have lasted a couple of pages, but it's not going to last the entire story. So it's like you got to be able to get through these chapters so you can get to, when you read, you see a show or a movie, the beginning might be a little rough, but when it start getting into the end, that character development, like allow yourself to have character development. Don't cut things short when you're still being written and things are still working. So just be strong, reach out to friends, reach out to therapists, find outlets and safe spaces. If you feel like it's a problem with you mentally where you don't feel like happy with yourself, start looking at yourself in the mirror, start giving yourself words of affirmation, telling yourself you're beautiful, you're successful, you're going to have these things. Start speaking life into yourself so you remember that every single day, despite what was going on. I would literally be working at these jobs and I'm like, I'm the baddest bitch here. These hoes ain't fucking with me. And when I
because look at you now.
Like I would literally be at a retail job like I'm the baddest on the planet. Like these bitches are not like I literally do not even care. Like and like it's just like when you start feeling it, that's when I started exuding it. Like I kid you not. Like right before I dropped Elegant, I was literally working. I was working at Tesla. I was working at Tesla, working on cars in like these like dirty gloves. And I'm like, I'm elegant, bitch, from the top to the bottom. I was not elegant. I did not. I was not elegant at the time, but I was telling myself that, and like I believed it. And shortly after, I was able to leave my job there, make more money than the people that was working there, and I'm doing amazing. So it's like you have to like speak it into existence and believe it.
Never give up on yourself. I feel like that's a key theme. Like you said, each part of your life is like a chapter. Some are more tough than the others, but you got to keep going. You got to keep flipping the page because it'll get better as you go, and everything is a learning lesson for you. I know you mentioned before, like in your childhood, in your teen years, you experienced violence. You know, people were not very accepting of you and your identity as a gay man growing up. And I was wondering if you could speak to that more, or if that kind of contributed to your mental health struggles as you grew up and went through life. Because I know a lot of people, they have that brave face and they're so strong, but after years of like literally having to fight for yourself and like prove your worth and your existence, or feeling like you may have to, I bet that like compounds and can get really hard, and you know, trigger some things, or you know, make it so that you have to unpack some things further down the line.
I definitely agree with you on that. I feel like when you constantly have to prove yourself and always advocate for yourself and stand up for yourself, it can be very exhausting. It can be very draining. But it's like if you sit down and take defeat and you're just like, I'm just not gonna prove myself to them anymore. I'm just gonna let them say whatever they say about me. You kind of like, not to say it like that, but you kind of give up on yourself a little bit when you do that, you know? Like there was times where I'm just like, if they just believe this, oh well. Then I was like, hell no, bitch, that ain't the truth. That is not the truth. No. This is what's going on. Y'all not gonna control my narrative. This is what it is. And I have to kind of like, as much as I get tired of it, I feel like the more that I do it, it's just been so many people that I feel like have been inspired by things that I've done that I have to keep continuously lighting the torch pat, like, you know, shining it bright and not allowing people to break me or bring me down. But I do understand what you're saying when you're saying like it can be draining. It can be something that is tiring to constantly have to do that. And I feel like there are people out there who are probably tired of proving themselves and expressing themselves to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine how it is for someone who's like trans and they're like, I feel like I don't belong in this body. And someone's like, but you're this. Or someone who's like gay and they're like, well, I feel like this is who I love. And someone's like, well, you're confused. You get tired of people saying that to you. You know what I'm saying? But I think the way that I am, me being like very like sure of myself, being very educated, I can't let nobody sway me. So if I was to tell somebody that I'm gay and they're like, you're confused, I'm not. That's what you think, boo. But you know, I told you what it was. You don't want to accept it.
You're like, you're confused.
You're confused because you're not accepting my answer. You asked me a question, I gave it to you. You're going to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I feel like I don't be caring, because it's like, when I've dealt with homophobia, first of all, homophobia don't even make no sense. How are you mad at another person for being gay? If you're straight, you go talk to the girls. You straight, you go talk to the guys. Like, you know, why are you worried about somebody else being gay? You're not even dating them. You're not even talking to them. You're not spending time. Why do you give a damn? You get what I'm saying? Like, you're worried about the wrong stuff. And then it's like, there'll be people like, oh, it's because of my religion. God says love everybody. So what you doing? Why are you attacking gay people? Why are you bullying them? Why are you sending them hateful comments? Why are you doing? I don't think God would want you to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
He says, so I don't. So that's why when people are homophobic, I never take any of it serious, because it's like, you're just, if you've ever worked around like children or like kids or anything like that, like, because I have siblings, they're really young. When I would go and like drop some of them off or spend time with them, they would be around these kids and these kids would be so happy. The kids would be so in love. And me being sure of myself, and me, like, my upbringing forced me to be strong because I didn't have nobody. Like, I did not have like nobody. You get what I'm saying? I didn't have nobody that I could count on. Once my grandma passed away, I didn't have nobody I can like trust. I didn't have nobody. So I was strong on my own because I had no choice. So that's kind of why I'm strong, you know, to this day. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I also think it's important too that you mentioned like life ebbs and flows. And a lot of times we only see, the highlights or the peaks. And a lot of times there's just more like tumultuous events that we don't discuss with others, and we don't put those out there. But I think it's important that people hear you were at the retail job and you knew it was temporary and you made sure it was temporary because you kept on looking at that long-term vision for yourself, which is what you're doing now. And so I think that's, incredibly inspiring for people. And hopefully it'll give them that little dose of encouragement right now if they're in a similar situation. Because I know Brad and I both worked, the service jobs. I worked in food service. I was a barista for like 5 years. Brad did the retail. And like people don't really know that a lot of times about us, but like I've definitely done the customer service, and it can be a grind, and I don't think people realize that when they see you now, they don't know where you started. And so it's good for that perspective, I think, people to understand that.
Yes, I think it's very important. And I also feel like one thing that I feel like is the people who are really successful that I have met, whether they be like business people, artist people, whatever, they believe in their vision and they
Yeah.
don't get so caught up in the journey. And I think that's also why I've been so happy with the things that I've done, because it's like, you can't sit here and like penny pinch and be like, well, I have to do this and I have to do that. And what if this doesn't work? What if this does?
You can't worry about that.
We need to make it work. We need to make it work. And if it doesn't work, we're going to keep trying to try something else. But I've seen so many people who are scared to take risks and they miss out on opportunities. It's like you miss every shot that you don't take. And I feel like the people that I've met who have been successful and rich, they'll be like business owners who are working at some regular job and they decided to take a basically like a jump and leap of faith on their business. And now they're millionaires. And so if you play it safe the entire time and you're always just like, I feel like people make excuses to kind of validate their fears, if that makes sense. They'll keep making excuses. And they'll be like, well, I don't want to try to do this because there's already a lot of people already doing it. Or there's probably like, well, what if I don't get picked? It's just like, you're just trying to make yourself be okay that you're scared to try. Like, just actually try. Like, bitch, do it. Like do a little time. Do something. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like. Because if I honestly was just like saying like, well, no one has ever seen a gay rapper before, maybe I should just keep working at Tesla.
Yeah.
Girl, I would be at Tesla.
What kind of dream is that? Yeah, exactly.
So no.
Yeah. So you got to take the risks too. And I think a lot of times it comes from anxiety or like preconceived notions of what, we think we should be doing or what others have told us to. I know like I had people that discouraged me for even going into like journalism. That's what I studied in school, right? And so I went in pre-med and people had said, you're not going to be able to get a career with a journalism degree. Like it's a dying field. I even had a professor say that in one of my classes. How does it feel to get to a dying field on my first day of the journalism class? And so I'm a first gen college student thinking like, well, I don't know, like I'm just trying to get the degree, like no one in my family's done this before. But I think if you really do like believe in yourself and like you just have that conviction, you can be successful. And so that's what I tell people, just like keep going, even if you feel like it's not working out. It's just you'll see it start to come to fruition over time, and it will just take longer than you think.
Exactly. It's crazy that they were trying to speak fear into your plans as you were starting class. That's insane.
And they do that to you. Why are you trying to discourage me?
Are you mad because I'm finna be that girl?
Exactly. Hopefully they listen to the podcast now.
Well, he want to speak. He want to see it on the podcast now.
Exactly.
Exactly. You got in your field and made your own lane. So
exactly. In my own lane, ain't no traffic here. We made it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly. I'm in the Hove lane or whatever.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, you've overcame so much. You've been through so much and you've always overcame it. And as you reflect on the past and look ahead into your promising future, what legacy do you hope to leave behind and what do you want to be remembered for? I mean, you still got a long ways to go, but
I do have a long ways to go, and I'm so excited for the next steps of things that I'm going to be dropping and doing. I think what I want to be remembered by is just being authentic, expressive, always pushing my pen, always making sure that I have great visuals, good bars, inspiring, and just giving back to people and just making people feel good when they hear my music. I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel heard. Whether you need to play a song to feel good about yourself, you got it. Whether you need a song for when you're going through a breakup, I got it. You want a song for feeling like you're depressed and you're going through it, I got it, boo. I want it to feel like you really can find a safe space in my music to go through the different feelings that a person may feel and also feel inspired like by my story and what I've done and what I've overcame to show you that you can do it too. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, whether it don't even have to be the same field as me. You might listen to one of my songs and think, I want to be the best. I want to be the bachelor of this. I want to get a master's in this. But the music makes you feel like I'm that bitch and I can do it. You know what I'm saying? So I want everybody to feel that confidence, exude confidence after playing my music and listening to what I've left behind.
That's so great. I love it. And you really have such like an exuberant spirit. And so I can see why you've been so successful because you really like just go out to the world as who you are. And it's honestly been like so wonderful just learning about you throughout this time. I actually learned about you because of Brad, because he was like, I love Drebae. We have to talk to him. And so I really started doing my research. I know a lot about you now. But this has just been like so amazing to hear like all that you've done, all that you overcome. And you're honestly like so young too. And so it's like you have so much more to do. And so we're excited to see you like at the Grammys or something. Who knows? Right?
I went.
So
I went.
go
It's
ahead.
crazy. That's so crazy. I got invited to the Grammy Museum. I think it was like last year or the year before.
Wow.
Yes, and they
That's so
loved
cool.
me there. They loved me
Oh,
there. And I spoke on a panel that they had there.
oh
Let's
cool.
manifest that Grammy soon. We gonna
What?
manifest that Grammy soon. Yes, because I was at the
That's awesome.
museum. Yeah, so it was really nice.
Very cool. Can people listen to that panel anywhere? Is it out like on the internet
Yes,
or?
it's on the gotta find the name of it. So it was through Glad. I think it was like Glad, one of those
Okay,
those interviews. So it was on the Grammy
cool.
Museum panel. I have it on my page. It's me in the purple
Nice.
outfit. That I had
Okay.
tagged the place that did it. So it's on their page. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'll
Mhm.
definitely look into it. That's so cool. Well, yeah,
Yes.
we know you're gonna win a Grammy at some point, and we'll be cheering you on for sure. Yeah, but my last question for you, it's a question we ask all of our guests, and it's really just about how your identity has influenced who you are, what Blackness means to you, how you've been able to find community and also celebrate the diaspora. And so our last question is, what does Blackness mean to you?
So Blackness means to me basically just expressing yourself and being tied to your culture and making sure that you don't forget about everybody that falls under the umbrella of your culture. Black is beautiful. We come in all different types of shades. We have made so many different, contributions to society. We're always overlooked and trying to be erased. We have people take ideas that we have made, styles that we have created, and they try to rebrand them as, their own little thing. Baby. We are the innovators. We are the people that we are really the ones who inspire and create. And I feel like being Black and gay, I have an intersectionality with both. And I feel like being a Black gay man is just all about my expression. Like my just the way I carry myself and embody myself, whether it be with the culture, the sound, the way that I dress, the way that I act. It is important to exude that and never lose sight of who you are as a person. I'm forever tied to my Blackness, and I'm proud, and I love everybody that is Black, whether it be from the darkest shades to the albinos. We are beautiful. We are stunting. From the kinkiest hair to the curliest, we are amazing. And I'm just excited for everybody out there that is just like me, just like you guys, creating and putting themselves out there because we are the blueprint, period.
I love it. That was so
Thank you.
amazing. And it's so cool to hear just how you've decided to define Blackness for yourself. That's something that we talk about with every guest, where everyone always has like a little different spin on it. So I love that you talked about just like the intersection of, those two identities, with you identifying as gay, but also identifying as Black, and like how you've been able to embody that fully. And so, yeah, just thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did, because I feel that this is
Yes.
so valuable for our audience.
Yes, thank you. I had an amazing time, and I really think you guys asked some. I really value having conversations with people who do research, and I feel like you guys had some
Thanks.
amazing ass questions that really got to
Thank
get
you.
me to get in depth on things. So I feel like it was
Yeah.
great, and I feel like it was a very comfortable, safe space. It was very entertaining. It was broad,
Yay.
authentic. I loved it. I loved it. I had an
Oh,
amazing
yay.
time.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Y'all need your own little
Great.
talk show like Oprah in there. They need to get you on the main stage.
Oh my
That's what
God.
we're hoping. Hopefully,
Thank you
Rock
so
Nation is
much.
watching. I'm like, when
Okay.
you say,
Hear
hopefully, hopefully they is watching.
Yeah, maybe one day that'll be our long-term vision. We're in the temporary
Yes.
space, right? On the Zoom call, we'll say this is how it started on the Zoom.
Yes, I'm excited for that. That's
Yeah.
exciting. My question is because I remember you said that like I'm one of the first like artists and influencers that you guys have. What kind of people do you guys
Mhm.
normally like encounter and like speak to?
Yeah, well, I'll say like this project initially started with just people we'd met in our own like professional lives. So it went
Mhm.
as far back as when Brad and I met in high school. So that's how we became friends. Like, we
Oh
were on the track team
wow,
together. We've known each other for 10 years. And so we both ended
wow.
up going to UW. Like, we didn't plan it out that we'd go to UW, but we'd been very passionate about like the social justice work, the DI stuff. Like, we were doing it before it was a big buzzword. And once I graduated, I was still living in Seattle, working, trying to figure it out. I was doing like freelance writing, still kind of struggling to find a career, but we just started like reaching out to other Black people we met along the way in our own fields. And we're like, hey, can we ask you advice? Because like these are people that had made it, like nonprofit execs. We had professional athletes. We had a lot of like academics on. We've had doctors on, other journalists, like some other creatives too, I would say, mostly like writers. and some artists. So that was really cool. But that was really how it started. It was just like our own network. But then we started getting nominations like from LinkedIn and just like different professionals from like all over, like outside of Seattle now. And so now we just like kept going. But like initially we just started it like to connect with people, and we didn't know people would listen in, and we're like, oh, people are actually listening. I guess we should keep it going. And so that's kind of how it happened. And now we've like spanned out to like more Gen Z. We had a lot of like older folks initially, but we're like, we need to start like mentoring up, you know, to some of the older people, because they were like, how do we work with you guys like in an intergenerational workplace now? And so, yeah, that's kind of how it's like expanded.
That's good. I'm glad to see that you guys have made so much happen over this course of time. And I feel like the style of interview that you guys do is very, very good. Like, I feel like that works really, really well. So I think with you guys doing more, like, if you guys do end up doing more artists or influencers, the style that you do, I think it's very fun because it flows so well. Like, it flows really well. I like it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we definitely started out in the more like professional spaces that we were in, but there are so many creatives with amazing stories that have had their ups and downs, and especially creatives, you know, that are pursuing their passions. They have a lot of ups and downs because, like you said, you were in the medical field and that's very stable. But when you're just going for your creative endeavors, like that comes with its own ebbs and flows, like you said. And so we really want to start interviewing creatives more and people with those unique experiences. So we always accept nominations. So if you know someone that's like, hey, I feel like they'd be a good fit, you know, feel free to let us know, because we're trying to expand into different fields, because Blackness, you know, encompasses so many things. And like you said, we are trendsetters. We really start things. And so we want to start encompassing a lot of different industries.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you guys do. If I know some people, I'm going to fax them over to y'all so y'all can get that done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and for us, it's like this is a community space. Even though right now it's just a podcast, like we want to continue to be in relationship with all of our guests. And so like we will hopefully stay in touch with you after this and keep cultivating those relationships along the way.
Yes, I love that. I'm excited to see. I think that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us. It was, like I said before, a pleasure to meet you. I've been watching your come up for a long time now, so I know you are an icon in the community, and you're going to like continue to do amazing things. And I've never been to the Bay, so if I find myself out there soon, don't run from me, friend.
Yeah, I'm friend. We already had our talks. You just let me know when you outside. Yeah.
We'll get together. We definitely will, whenever we make the trip.
We deeply appreciate your support as we work to uplift the Black community and explore our unique experiences within the Black diaspora on Identity Unboxed.
Authenticity is your guide to cast an impact on the world that you will be proud of. Signing off with pride, Tiana
and Brad.
Thank you so much.